In this week's Parashat Kedoshim, as we were taught by our Bar Mitzvah, we learn what Torah, at least at the time, defined as Kedusha, as holiness. And within the text of our Torah portion, we're given one definition of holiness, the definition that we define as Judaism's version of the golden rule. Ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha, to love thy neighbor as thyself. It seems so simple, yet is near impossible. And maybe there's a problem with itself with this mitzvah, with this commandment. Maybe the commandment should simply say, Ve'ahavta l'reacha, love your neighbor, period. The end, exclamation points. It should be simple enough. In fact, it doesn't even say love a stranger, right? Love your neighbor, somebody who you choose to live by, somebody who you talk to across the fence when you're taking out the garbage in the afternoon, someone who your dogs have a play date with. Love your neighbor, somebody who actively chooses to live in the same community as you do. Not just because you love the homes, certainly don't love the real estate taxes. Maybe because you love the values that you're taught, or essence of that community. Love your neighbor, but the problem with this being the golden rule, the problem with this mitzvah is when we're told, love your neighbor kamocha, as if you love yourself. What we're really saying is, it's a quid pro quo of a commandment. I should treat you in a certain way with a hope that you treat me in a certain way. It's selfish in nature. It should be enough just to be commanded to love another. That's what the basis of all religions is founded on, until they devolved into other, more difficult, more challenging, arguably more hateful ideology. That's the basis of so much of arts and culture. For decades and decades and decades, we've been taught what the world needs now is love, sweet love. Love should be enough, and yet it's not. It's not enough to just say love your neighbor. We have to say love your neighbor so that they'll love you back. Why isn't it enough for us to simply love another person? We're not even being asked to love somebody on the other side of the world. We're being asked to love our neighbor who lives on our street, who lives in our town, whose kids go to school with our kids. Why isn't that enough? Maybe human instinct. It's too difficult to love somebody simply because we are commanded to. Love is a feeling we have when we are in a relationship. Love is a feeling we have when we would do anything for that person. Love is a feeling we have when we want to take on their hurt and pain, when we are willing to feel pain so that they don't have to. Imagine the love that you feel for a partner, for a spouse, that a parent feels for a child, a grandparent feels for a grandchild. That's a different type of love than you could feel for a neighbor. Maybe if that neighbor was a best friend, you feel that love, but it's a different type of love. So maybe we're told this even though it's impossible to follow. We're famously taught in the Talmud that when great Rabbi Hillel is approached and told to teach the entire Torah, all regla achat will stand on one foot, he teaches a version of this. It suggests that the rest of Torah is just commentary. But why teach a version of this? Why teach this as the essence of Torah if it seems seemingly impossible? If it seems selfish in nature? And if we fail time and time again as individuals, as a people, as humanity in fulfilling this commandment? Maybe the command to love another is too difficult for us to take on. So I would suggest then we look at the mitzvah, the commandments, the divine obligation prior. Instead, before we're told to love, the active mitzvah, we're simply told, Lo tisna et achicha b'levavecha, that you should not hate your kinsfolk in your heart. We're told these two things, juxtapose two verses together. First, you should not hate another in your heart, and then you should love your neighbor as yourself. Why do we need both of these if we think of them the same, but they're not? Maybe loving thy neighbor is too difficult, so we need to settle. Maybe it's enough just to say we shouldn't hate another. I don't need this messianic era for us all to love each other and hug each other and sway back and forth and sing kumbaya. Maybe that's an unrealistic goal. But can it be realistic for us to just not hate one another? Is that enough? Ramban is asked, why does it say bilevavecha? That you shouldn't hate somebody in your heart. And he answers, because it's not enough for us to just, act a certain way in public. For us to say, I, feel a certain way towards somebody, but I'm going to keep that to myself, and I'm going to put on a smile. Because if we still hate somebody in our heart, in the inside, that will build up. It's actually worse the way we treat somebody here than the way that we do when we talk to them and confront them face to face. The Chor Shor suggests that it says the way you hate somebody, you shouldn't hate somebody in your heart, so that if somebody hurts you, you should directly speak to them and tell them why they hurt you and how they hurt you so that you could rectify that relationship. Because it's only once we are committed to no longer hating in our hearts, then we can get to the place to love. Because if we're still hating in our hearts, even if we put a smile on our face, even if we say that good morning, good afternoon, good night to our neighbors, if we're cordial, but we have feelings inside, then we never get to ve'ahavta l'recha kamocha. So maybe loving one another is too tall. It's too grand of a leap for us to take in this moment. When the world is so broken, when hatred of another feels like it's manifested so much of society, when we other people, maybe it's too large of a leap. But if we can begin with clearing our hearts, with beginning with not hating another, then maybe we can eventually get to that point of loving another. Not kamocha, not so that they'll love us in return, but just to love another. We're told, as our Bar Mitzvah told us, Kedoshim tihiyu, that you should be holy, ki kadosh ani Adonai. For I, God, am holy. It seems odd that we should strive to be like God when we're told that God is on another level, when we're told that it was only Moshe at the end of Moses' life that saw God face to face. Maybe it shouldn't be read, you should be holy because God is holy, but it should be enough just to strive, Kedoshim tihiyu. You should strive to be holy. And how do we achieve that idea of Kedusha, of holiness? By loving another. Not so that they love us in return, but simply to love another. And how do we get there? We begin by clearing and cleaning our hearts. We do this during the Yamim Noraim, during the High Holy Day season. We do this each and every morning when we say that we awake with a clean soul and a clean slate to begin this day anew like a brand new day of creation. We hope and pray that this day we'll hate each other a little bit less. And then maybe tomorrow, we can love each other a little bit more. Amen.